What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Aligning the Stars. I'm Jordan, and we are here today with episode 5 of the What Am I Doing? Why Am I Doing This build of the Enterprise NX-01. I have been building this model all day. I've been shooting and recording this model all day. I've just taken a couple-hour break for dinner and all the rest, but we're here to finish. Now, what I did in between is I off-camera'd applying the putty and letting it dry. It's kind of a tedious, dirty, nasty work, and as you can see here, we're going to be working on my regular desktop for this episode because I don't want to get it anywhere. I do have my sandpaper cut out, and where we applied all of our putty is going to be here, right along where the nacelles were. So we have some here, right along through this gap. There was big, open, wide gaps through here. Same thing over here. It wasn't as bad, but you know, there was some big, wide open gaps here. And then underneath, on where the engineering and the saucer section connect, there was just a big, wide, fat gap. And so went ahead and got all the putty in there, found out how messy and nasty all that stuff is, how quick it dries. And so, and got it all cleaned up. Got all the excess all taken care of at least, so that we can come in here with our sandpaper and start sanding it off. So let's go ahead and get started. I hope this turns out well. I'm nervous, to be honest. Nervous about how this is going to turn out. But okay, let's get my paper folded here so I get a little bit more purchase. Okay. Yeah, and in this episode, after we get this sanded up, we're going to go ahead and reapply the first base coat of our base coat back. And then we're going to be doing some capillary work to define the hull panels, which I'm excited about doing. After learning how to do that on the Falcon, I'm excited to do that here. And this seems like it's turning out okay. This is a little grill section, so it may not be as full grilly as I'd like, so to say. Although fingernail seems to be doing some pretty good work here. I will, in between off camera, before we paint, of course, wipe and clean this down. But so far so good. Happy with that result. Let's go ahead and sand the rest of that off. Yeah, actually, not too bad. Wound up cleaning up through there. I'm not super happy with the way the grill here turned out. Maybe I might take all my files here with a sharp point. Oh, there we go. Very nice. Learned something. Excellent. Once again, the whole point was just to fill in the gaps here, not to create new model work. Excellent. That turned out really nice. That's good. Yeah, and once again, learning about how all of this works, right? And so, you know, this whole thing, this whole model itself has actually been a great learning curve. You know, the Marauder's coming along real nice, but it's a slow approach. You know, I'm shooting it and thinking about it, and I've just been thinking about this model for like the last hour. It's been digesting my food. Made red beans and rice. It was quite delicious. Trying to be done with this tonight. If not tonight, then tomorrow morning. Like to invite Matt over tomorrow and on Christmas Eve and surprise him. I think I should be done, actually. I should be done, actually. Surprised by that, if I'm being real. was hoping to bring it to him today at work, but thought about going to work on my vacation. Was kind of like, yeah, let's not do that. Yeah, actually, you know, I was a little worried about this whole process, but once we repaint it, everything should look good. Yeah, that turned out okay. Alright, now, kind of moved on from this corner of the ship. Let's go ahead and fold our paper again. Try to get as much out of this as possible. I picked up some probably way too expensive modeling sandpaper sheets, so I just kind of cut off little pieces of it. But yeah, this one, like right up here, you can just see right through. Yeah, you can just see right through to the other side. So I chose to do that on this side. So I'll do that here as well. Yeah, sandpaper's probably a little pricey, but it's also working really, really well. I think this is 400 grit. Something like that. 400 sounds about right. And once again, now we will take our file here, kind of run it over the top and through here. There's a little bit of gapping here, and that's fine. This is also a file, so I can get into the tight corners here. And we're going to be applying a base coat again on these areas. And then we're going to be doing the capillary effect. And if you're not familiar with that, I suggest you watch the Millennium Falcon build. I mean, hey, shameless self-promotion, right? Basically what we're going to do is we're going to create a wash with a light gray, and what we're going to do with that wash is going to take it very fine, and with just a point of a paintbrush we're going to drop it into the hull plating deck separator, and we're just going to let it spread. I'm going to see how it works. I'm hoping that it works. If not, then we're not going to do it. But now this one is going to be a little bit of a tight squeeze. I was a little worried about this. I was a little worried about this one here. I contemplated just throwing a ton of paint at it, but I want this to look nice. Like, this is our first full model that we've built. What I'm gonna do, take the paper, turn the paper over, see if this works. It may not. I don't know what I'm doing. We'll see. Push that over. That's not working. Okay. Yeah, that worked. Yeah, I want this model to... That didn't work. I want this model to wind up, looking really good, and, it was our first official model on the channel, and we've completed the Venator, which is cool, but it's a paper model, let's be real. And, for me, getting into actually completing one of these regular models is an accomplishment. Like, just with my busy life, you know, like, this is super tough getting in here. I was worried about this part. Let's see if this works. Yeah, I was a little worried about this part, but I think we can figure out a way of getting there. Oh, there we go. That worked. Yep. The beautiful stuff about this is not like, you know, plastered or whatever, where it's putty, modeling putty, super soft. Oh yeah, this is looking great. It shouldn't, but it does, so I'll take it. I'll take any win I can get with this. Yeah, I want this model to look good. I want it to be a representative of, you know, some of the quality work that we're going to be doing here. I want to be increasing my skills as I'm going along, and start with a really good one on the first shot. I'll be pretty pleased with that effect, and so far so good. Yeah, I mean, we got models we're building, but like I said, this is first like official ground up model in less than a week. And most of it in a day. Yeah, so that's not too bad. I'm not too proud of that work, but also I'm not too sad with that work as well. So I got big stupid fingers, and so we're just going to deal with that. And I'm not worry about the back half there. I can see if I can get a little bit more off there, but we're good. So yeah, there's our work there. Kind of cleaned it up, filled in the gaps. Very nice. I was a little worried about how that was going to turn out. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get on to doing some capillary work. Let me go ahead and mix up a paint wash. We'll be right back. Ah, yes, jumping ahead of myself and saying we're going to do some capillary action. No, first thing we're going to be doing is reapplying our base coat. So, this is the paint that I wound up using. It is the Mecha Color. It's 69.036. It's the light gray from it's the Vallejo's Mecha Color series. I really liked it. It was really easy to spray. I bought a pretty janky set of airbrush paints from Amazon that I was not happy with at all, and it came with some airbrush thinner that I also was not very happy with at all. And so I wound up picking up some like professional quality airbrush thinner, and as soon as I applied it to this, it was just out of control. So obviously here we're not going to need that as we're using a brush. Real quick, I realized I didn't grab my little paint thingy here. There we are, just for the sake of making sure I don't get anything on my desk, although now that the pad is off my desk, I'm less concerned. So let's go ahead and get our color back on here. And I'm curious how many coats we're going to need, maybe just one. Didn't really seem to affect the paint too much, but just want to make sure that it gets on here nice, not too thick. Only in the areas where it needs it. I do have a couple correcting areas that we're going to take care of here real quick as well. Put this over here. Let's see what I'm doing here. Just getting in here real fast. It's interesting painting with airbrush paint and a brush. I'm just learning that, you know, there are different types of paint than enamel paint, for instance. It needs a different thinner, and I just never thought about that, you know, like the things you don't think about at all. Learned that last time. I'm like, oh no, did I just destroy another brush? Also, save the other brushes that I have. Girlfriend has some nail. Oh, what's the stuff called? acetone. Yeah, so I was able to save those brushes just fine. Okay, so I got a little bit of color up top we need to take care of right here. And a little bit of messiness from all the work. There we are. Very nice. Very nice. It's going on really nice. I'm really happy with this right now. Yeah, very clean. Very nice. I am going to try to use a little bit of this paint to seal up the areas where I didn't want to apply any putty. There we are. Very nice. Alright, that's all cleaned up and looking good. Let's move on to the other side. You know, Jordan, there's this amazing thing that came with the model. It's called a stand. Do you know what happens when it sits on a stand? It stands on its own. It's crazy. I know. But man, just out here. Just out here. In the next episode, which actually will probably be the last episode of this series, we're going to be applying the decals, and then we're going to be taking care of final paint and touch-up and what have you, all that. Really looking forward to finishing this and, yeah, to be real, moving on with relaxing for Christmas. Got a couple of other projects trying to get done. So we're just going to take this excess paint and pull it back. Don't let it pool up, because that'll ruin the overall effect. And we can always color correct later. So now, before we move on, looking right here, there's a little bit of a gap. Okay, now let's get on to the other side here, and really it's kind of a nice thing just to be able to hold this model like this without actually touching the model. Yeah, and this paint goes on really nice as a brush on paint as well, which is very, very, very nice. Vallejo, from everything that I've read, is a really good paint brand. Good price, like nothing too crazy, which made me happy. I was like, oh, how much are these paints? And I think it's like $4 each. Not bad. Not bad at all. Now we're going to do a little bit of gap work here with some paint. There we are. And we'll have to remember that too. And remember that you can also do gap work with paint. It's a little less messy. I probably could have done that here in some instances, as I am right now. Very nice. Oh man, this paint goes on really, really nice. That's satisfying. It really is. Okay, so now let's get our paint into the neck here. We're going to kind of angle, and so hopefully you can see it. What's going on here? Oh yeah. Very nice. Nice and clean. Yeah, and that gap filled in real nice. I gotta say, I'm kind of impressed with the work that was done there, despite my big clunky fingers. Okay. So yeah, in the next episode we'll be finishing it up. Oh man, it's exciting. Exciting because I can move on with Christmas, and exciting because finish a model, and exciting so I can give Matt his Christmas present. So this was a late decision, and one which I am not regretting at all. This has been a lot of fun. This has been so much fun. Okay, so now I'm going to do a little bit of paint work to cover up some gaps here. Thought about doing putty here, but man, that just does not sound like a good idea. So it's likely going to take just a little bit of paint. There we go. Clean up some of the glue here. Man, I'm super pleased. Very super pleased. Oh yeah. Oh. I was like, oh yeah, look at how it filled in, and then it just kind of. Hopefully this one. Oh, but I bet you. Get another coat in there. It's the last one I'm gonna try to do this with, and otherwise we might move on. Yeah, that's fine. Okay. Let's do the same thing here on the other side. And then right here, there's a little bit of overspray. So I am going to drop a light coat over the top right here. Obviously, it's a little bit of character for the model if need be, but needs not be. Very nice. Some paint along the edges here. We're going to go ahead and a little bit of paint fill in there. Will also help seal pieces in. Didn't use a whole lot of glue on this model, so hopefully Matt is kind to it over the years. We're going to take a little bit more paint right there. Okay, so we got that taken care of. And look at our paint up here. Yeah, it's a little bit of a sandy mess, but we're good. And then finally we have a little bit of overspray right here. And so with the final part with our touch up. Kind of just take some of our paint here. Pull it across, just a little bit, not too much. Don't want to ruin the spray job, but do want to correct some of this overspray. Don't want to take away from our capillary effect that we're going to be doing here next. There we go. And now would be a good time while we got this paint out to do any corrections on any color over coloring or over painting. There's one right here. Just gonna take our brush and we're gonna push it up to the edge. Yeah, that turned out really good. Remember that technique from before. The before, you know, before bills and jobs and gray hair. All right. Any other cleanup that we need to do with this primary color? Let's see if we can do a little bit of a pull across the top here and see if we can seal that up. I didn't want to use putty here. It's such a visible part of the model, and I'm still, you know, my skills are still suspect at best, you know, so maybe paint there. I might take a clamp here. Matter of fact, that's not a bad idea. Be right back. I'm gonna take a clamp here. Carefully. Not break anything. Let that sit there and seal up, and I'm gonna take a little bit of paint and now go over the top of this again. Yeah, there we go. That's using the old thinking cap. I wonder if that came up towards the camera. I'm curious. That's using the old thinking cap. Huh, Jordan? Let's try that one more time. These are cheap, effective, but you don't want to move them once they're in place. So, a little bit more paint up there on the gap. The other side is just fine. For whatever reason, this side just did not want to work out the way I wanted it to. Yeah. The other side is fine. I actually really like what's happening here, so we are going to do the same thing over here. It's not as bad of a gap, but I think we can be able to take care of this without having to clamp it. Jed clamp it. Wow. Go angle it towards us a little bit. I was worried if I had poured too much paint, but it looks like it's going to be just enough. Yeah, I like what's happening here. Just a little bit extra paint on the top here to kind of seal the deal. And do we have any other color corrections we need to do up top? Let's see a little bit right here. I'm not gonna go crazy about it, just kind of if I see any overspray spots. Okay. So now, let's take a look at the bottom. Bottom actually turned out really, really good. Yeah. Alright, I think we can probably toss a little more paint in this spot right here. Just for the sake of trying. Just for the sake of trying and not crying. Okay. Well, there is the touch-up. Let's go ahead and grab a little bit more. I'm just going to go ahead and grab a little bit more paint. Got another one of these for our next Star Trek model. I think it's a good color. I think this is the color we're going to use for all of our Federation ships going forward. I don't like mixing paint. It's so hard to repeat, and I don't want to try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to unload most of my brush, but make sure it's still got some on it. And just go back over some areas where we did sand. And just make sure that we're not having any lightness in the color. There was one spot on the bottom I did remember. Let's go ahead and take a look. Yeah, way too much paint there. There was a scuff that happened. Not sure how, but it's blue, so it's probably one of the these tiny little blue things here. Okay. Yeah, that looks good. A little more paint here. Oh, it's just, yeah, that one needed it just a little bit. And you can tell that we've done some putty work through here, so yeah, things to remember. Skills to set. I got out of line a little bit. Okay, and finally what we're going to do here. That looks good. That looks good. Okay. Get our paint up here. This is the base coat, like with the model, the paint model came as, so. Or the color that the model was molded in, so to say. But I didn't think to spray the bottom. I'm trying to be better about not spraying painting surfaces. But I did want to get the proper color down here. And it's likely that I'm going to have to drop another coat on here. I'm going to keep this paint available while we're doing our capillary effect for the next part. Going to let this dry and then apply a little bit more. Yep, that looks good. That looks good. Okay. So, I'm going to go ahead and keep this off to the side. And we're going to go ahead and mix up some paint real quick. Let's see how this goes. Nope, that's not satisfying. Jordan, patience. Paint takes a while to dry. So this is going to be up here for a little while. And that's totally fine. Let's go ahead and get some more paint up there just to seal that bad boy in. There we go. Keep this off to the side, and then we are going to go ahead and mix up a paint wash. Okay, we are back, and I've gone ahead and done most of the port side of the ship here. I wanted to make sure that I got my consistency right to get the hull plating done. So it's actually offered a little bit of a dirt effect to it. I'm not quite sure how I like that. So this is called the capillary effect. And if you haven't seen this, it's kind of a cool little thing. I've created a wash, and I took just the base gray, not the base gray, I took a light gray tester's paint, and I took the light gray and a little bit of white and a lot of thinner. And what I've done is I've created a wash. And what we're going to do simply, this is called the capillary effect. So what we do is we just touch a little spot and you see the paint work its way down. So we're going to do this to the entire ship. And for the rest of this video, I'll turn up the music a little bit here, get some lo-fi relaxing music going on. We're going to do some capillary work and really make some definition happen to this model. So enjoy, and we will be back at the end to talk about where we're at and what's next. So, looks like we've gotten the top of the primary hull. We're leaving this alone because of decals, but you know, yeah, it's actually because of decals. But what we can do, I don't know if this is dumb or not, but we're about to find out. And then I said in the last episode we weren't going to do windows. In the process of this, I think we can by doing it in this process. Just being very gentle. Just trusting science to do its thing. Ooh. Well. You learned. Drop a pool in there and see what happens. There you go. Okay. Definitely not pleased with how that turned out, but beauty of the wash, you just wipe it away. Okay, so let's just make sure we got all of our colors up top here taken care of. Now that we're starting to get the drying action and get some proper definition too. Yeah, that turned out really good. Really pleased with how that looks. The same thing up top here. Although, maybe not. Yeah, I think we can pull that off. It's too late now, so let's go. Yeah, it's doing its thing. I may regret what I'm doing here, but, you know, I think it's going to turn out okay, actually. Just a little bit of definition to the nacelles there. Yeah, it's got the channels for it, so why not? We're just going to paint that in there real fast. And we'll clean it up afterwards. Just by doing one of those. Beautiful. Okay, unfortunately I gotta do now the same thing over here on the other nacelle. Let's see how this one turns out. Just wipe it off, kind of give it a little bit of depth. There we go. That looks okay. Not super pleased with that, but you know, They can't all be winners. Okay. So that is the top of our primary hull done. A little bit of cleanup work needs to happen up around here. That's fine. Overall, really pleased with how that turned out. Not pleased with how this turned out up there, but I will cover that back up with proper paint in the next episode. And as we pop off our stand here, I'm going to go ahead and finish up and do the rest of the capillaries on this. We are all taken care of here on our end. We've done quite a bit this episode. There's been some sanding, there's been some painting. We are coming up on the end, folks. Next episode, we're going to be doing our final paint work, and I think we're going to call it a series. So, thank you all so much for watching. I know you guys have a million things to do, and instead you chose to take a couple of minutes and watch the video today. I really want to thank you so much for that. If you have any tips, tricks, questions, comments, please leave them down below. If you'd like to support the channel, please like and subscribe. And until we see each other again, my friends, I hope you all have a wonderful day in this beautiful world, wherever you happen to be. And always remember to live long and prosper.